the support from women to women in this story is just beautiful. I'm Andrea Olivera, and I'm an Ayurveda spa specialist. I focus on the ancient holistic healing medicine of India, which is Ayurveda. My focus is anti-aging, rejuvenation therapies, and beauty care. I've created my own anti-aging skincare line with the knowledge that has been passed on by the lineage of the medicine women in my family. I do a lot of celebrity clients here in my home studio, which is what I call the sacred temple, because it honors all the different paths that I've followed over the years. I live in the King West area, and this is a fashion district, lots of film and theater. The neighborhood tends to be a very creative crowd, and when you walk down the street, you can see every expression from every nationality. It's a wonderful place to come and explore. So I was born in Uruguay, South America. The women in my family were, they came from a very strong circle. My Aunt Susanna was Miss Uruguay, and she married the champion cyclist of Uruguay at that time, and so they had very high social status, and my grandfather had beautiful ranches, and so he had his social status, and my mother was a very educated college girl.
Everybody was a musician, everybody was a painter, an artist, very intelligent people.
My memory of my childhood was jumping on trees and playing with animals. When you live close to the land, the ocean, you have a natural, deep relationship with nature.
My grandmother, she was more like the wise woman of the tribe, let's say it, and she worked a lot with plants and flowers.
And so as women, we started to really understand herbs and rocks and medicine. My grandmother, who was a very strong Catholic, would always speak of the Divine Mother as a form of Mother Mary, but we would also go to the ocean to speak with the goddess Yemaya. And Yemaya is the mother of all waters. So we were taught that whenever we had a problem, we go to the mother, we pray to her, we give her an offering, we bring her flowers and watermelons. I was 2 when I came to Toronto, and it was a bit of a shock. Nature disappeared, and we were confined to these 4 walls in an apartment, and our relationship was with the TV. When we're sad, we eat chocolate chip cookies. When we're homesick, we make these big feasts where, to bring back the cuisine and the flavor of the land and the culture. So I started to gain a lot of weight as a little girl. I grew up in a neighborhood, western area of the city, where it was very Anglo-Saxon. I would get teased as a child, not just for my weight, but my nationality. So I had experienced a lot of racism at that time. All the kids who had different challenges with their life at home would come to our house, because my mother, my aunt, and my grandmother, who then came and lived with us, they were very nurturing, motherly women. We became sort of like this rescue house for all the abused and abandoned children. And my mother became very helpful to the parents.
I started going to school and doing interpretations for, translations for the Spanish-speaking people.
So we had a lot of newcomers from all different parts of South America knock at our doors at all kinds of hours asking my mother for help. At that time, my father started to search for himself. Really, he felt lonely, and so he was captivated by the hospitality and the warmth of a certain religious group. When my father became a Jehovah's Witness, the icon of the goddess disappeared because he couldn't accept, or that religion didn't accept Mother Mary or any of the feminine goddesses. So our family started to divide itself between the women and my father. So I was torn, because I was very fascinated by God, of that Bible, and Jesus. As much as I was interested in the stories of the African Yoruba tradition, he tried his best to convert us. And of course, my mother, being a very strong warrior-like goddess, did not like anyone telling her what to believe in or what to do. So at home, it was a bit of a spiritual war. My father would accuse the women of my family being witches and pagans, and then my family understanding that he was a poor, lost soul that needed the crutch of a religious dogma to heal himself. Eventually, they broke up. We moved from that western area to this other neighborhood. They called it the ghetto or the jungle.
In Woolner, I have the opportunity to be hired as an outreach worker, community worker. Honest to God, what I learned in there, amazing. There were 28 nationalities and 28 different languages spoken.
And so finally I felt really comfortable because I was with the kinds of cultures that I found fascinating, which was the Jamaican cultures and the Indian cultures and the Middle Eastern cultures.
I met people, who knew how to work with crystals, doing clearance and protection and alignment of chakras and things like that.
So the neighborhood of Woolner started to really bring up this investigation of all these spiritual paths, because I realized when I was age 12 that I was very different from everyone at school. I was mesmerized by this idea of astral travel and the mystical sort of psychic powers that the ancient Egyptians had. So for years I lived in a pyramid. I built a pyramid in my room, growing wheatgrass and growing different flowers inside the pyramid as the ancient Egyptians did.
I grew up with the nuns for 12 years of my life. You didn't talk about paranormal, you didn't talk about visions, you didn't talk about ghosts. We were not able to explore very deeply in my country, But when we came here with all the books and with all the people that we were around, and then we start investigating, we start exploring.
She started to bring all kinds of metaphysical reverence, parapsychologists, massage therapists, healers, crystal therapists, all these kinds of holistic arts into the house so that I could kind of find my way. So by the time I was 15, I had to drop out of high school because I was just not doing very well there. So I was enrolled in sort of my own version of religious academic studies. And my mother goes, no one's going to pay you to read their cards or clean their aura. It's not going to happen. This is like in the 80s. She says, but what you can do is choose something that's similar in that profession, like the spa world or the makeup artistry world. I was having such a struggle because I was overweight. I was between this image of Boy George and Prince. My mother registered me into queen-size modeling, and I had to learn how to find my image because she was worried. I mean, the women in Uruguay, Argentina, South America, they're really about image. So it's a taboo to be big. At the same time, I had joined George Brown College, which they had a program at that time called Futures, which was for kids that dropped out of high school. And they put you on the job training, and I got a job in a spa, Yorkville. At that time, it was the most prestigious spa in Yorkville, and I was their apprentice makeup artist. And then I'd go off into Yorkville